So sorry, there was someone at the door. I kicked them out. Sorry. Okay, so we thank Alexander very much and for the entire first half of the debate. With that, who is our member of government? Beg your pardon, could you repeat that, sir?
We are playing from the one device, so...
It's okay, but I need it for the ballot later, so I need your name.
Yeah, I mean that.
Sorry, sir, I need your name. So sorry, I didn't mean to misgender, but my question is, I need you to tell me your name so that I can know which speaker point to give to your ballot.
The first one, Abdullaykhan Turlasov. You can see it on the chat.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. And without that, please, member of government, you're welcome to begin.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me a word. Okay, first of all, a small analysis of the opening tables. First of all, from the opening government, we see that there is a strict point of monopoly, and the opposition side says, yes, of course, we agree that there is a monopolistic side from the Amazon, and we understand that there is a lawyer's issues. Okay, this is actually the opposition point. We understand that there is a problem with suiting the big companies, and the small companies will never get to win. However, what is the real problem here? In United States of America, there are two different laws that actually protects the consumer and also protects the business. And today, on the Amazon platform, we understand that business is actually also a consumer, because they consume the Amazon product as a platform. And we have to understand which part we have to prioritize, whether it is a business side or whether this is a consumer side. We understand that in United States of America, we are pro free market. We are not against the free market. We understand that we have to give the freedom to the market. However, here we understand that United States of America saying that Amazon have a right to settle any problem inside the company and not given to the court. And we understand that this is the main problem of this debate. Okay, coming from the opposition side, they also saying that this is expensive and small business will never get rid of the Amazon and they will be bankrupt at the end. But the problem is not of the Amazon settlement. The problem is that these cases will never go to suit. They will never go to the state court. And we understand that this is the main problem, because the state doesn't see the real picture what is happening in Amazon. And the first problem is here that the government is losing the leverage of the Amazon, because the Amazon becomes a dictator on the market, and the market is the main part of the society and the main part of the country, and we have to deal with it, because losing the control, when the government losing the control over the market is the main factor that there is something right. We understand that this is okay when there are many companies in market, and government actually doesn't need to intervene. But when there is only one Amazon, and opposition side says, yes, this is a monopoly, and the small businesses have no leverage to win this. We understand that there are problems. However, we say that there is some kind of crossing the line. As I said, Amazon is benefiting from the users. Amazon is benefiting from the small businesses and the medium businesses. And this is the first part. The second part, the Amazon will always keep them close because they benefit. And because they benefiting from this. And they will do anything to maximize this profits. And by this internal court, they maximizing the profit by crossing the line, crossing their rights, crossing the rights of the small business. And small businesses understand that inside this court, they will never win, and they just settle the agreement, and they just leaving the part of their rights just to earn some money on their platform, because they are the monopoly. However, the alternative, how we are going to win? Actually, this is the main part that opposition side doesn't understand. Many cases are involving the big companies and just one human even. We understand that there are many cases of harassment But how the one woman or one man can win in the court the case of harassment against, for example, the CEO of some company? This is not the only one woman. It's called the collective suits, and collective suits, they when the 100 people, 1,000 people, when there is strict pattern that one people always harassing the woman or man, it doesn't actually matter. When there's a strict pattern that there is a crossing the line, the suit came along and say that this is not right, and we are not settling this down. But the problem was that when there is no collective suit, this person just settling this case, just giving the money to one woman. However, when we are as a government showing, okay, we're closing your intimate intern, how it is called, court, and we're saying that, okay, there is a freedom for you. Collect different businesses, collect the small businesses, so you can win these problems. This is the first part. The second part about the settlements. We understand that there is a small misunderstandings inside this company, which actually has nothing to do with crossing the lines. We understand that there are some cases, and in the suit, in the local, not in the local suit, in the state suit, we understand that settlement also exists. Not every case strictly goes to the court and strictly goes to be paid. Actually, there is an agreement between one company and another company, and if there's some misunderstandings, they also can make the settlement. I'm not saying that every single company every single small business will go against the Amazon, but now I'm saying that we are at least given the right to this local business, to this small business, to protect themselves collectively, and to show that in the United States of America, it's not only the one Amazon who rules the market. There's also small businesses that could save the market, and we say that the free market is not about the one company, but this is about the collective power of the whole market. Thank you very much, and I'm very proud to propose. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we understood which side you're on. That's okay. It's good. It's good. Don't worry about it. Excellent. So I would like to thank our member of government very much for the speech. And with that, who is our member of OP?
Liorgonen.
Liorgonen. Okay, go next. Okay, Mr. Leader of a member of OP, please. The floor is yours whenever you like.
3, 2, 1. We heard a lot about how brutal and unfair the court of Amazon. I'm not going to protect the court. I'm going to protect two things. I'm going to explain why, even if in the best case of government scenario, the court has such a bad things, they are still better to the seller to be there. And second of all, I'm going to explain why it's still legitimate for Amazon to do all those things. Okay. That will be my 2 points. And quick points of rebuttal. We get from closing government that there are the law of the country that's supposed to oppose any law or international law. So as long as there are two parties who give the consent and they agree, any contact between them can suppress the law of the country. Again, there is no going against any law. If I want to sell you my car in a very, very small amount of money and you live in Norway, no, my country will say, no, you cannot do it because we not go against any law. They told us that Amazon get money from the small business. We agree with them. We think that the small business also get a lot of money from Amazon in the way. So it's kind of a balanced system, and each one gets some benefit and some damages. And last thing that they talk about disputing the courts, and look, we get from OGs that most of the disputes are around quality and how much the product is quality. We think that if you sell to Amazon some unquality equipment, Amazon should have some kind of way to get their money back and to restore her name and protect herself. And if there was some kind of abuse to this mechanism, as they try to show that every time Amazon win every time, so either Amazon should be very, very profitable to anyone and they should accept the losses, or no one should have stayed in Amazon because you're always losing the case. Let's go to my first point. Now, why Amazon is good for all the third-party sellers? Because a seller without access to Amazon are in a bad place instead to one that have. And why? Because Amazon invests you in a lot of things. In a world where without Amazon, you need to do the kind of currency. You need to insure your product. You need to deal with the international sending and mails, taxes. You need to own your own shop if you don't want to sell online. And if you want to sell online, you also need to contain your own domain so you can do it. Amazon is a platform. Okay, it's doing the work for you. It's functioning the order. She's making you usable life. She deals with all your shipments. Okay, in the end, she's dealing with something that you maybe didn't have enough power to do it alone. But even if you had power, it will be such more expensive and not reasonable to do it. So we think that a lot of buyers will not want not want to sell the product by this way because this is such a accountable product for let's say a shoe seller in a small company to understand how taxation in any country in the world is going to work and pay the tax alone. Okay. Now, in the end, we have some kind of a balance system. Amazon invests a lot of money in you, so you can get money and they will get something in return. Now, before I go to my second point, you need to understand as well. First, opposition explain you all the benefits you can get from these cards. We're going to explain you why it's still legitimate to Amazon to be the judge of their of itself in those cases, okay? Because as I said, Amazon help you in a lot of things, and this is my second point. Because it's not no one pointing a gun to your head and say sell with Amazon, okay? You are getting a really profitable action if you do it. It's really, really beneficial to you. But in the end, there are still shopping in the world that are not belong to Amazon. Both physical shop and both online shops, okay? Now, Amazon invests you and asking for something in return. This is a deal while both sides want to make sure that they benefit the most, okay? Now, if Amazon didn't have the ability to make sure that her investment is going to work, as if they're going to sell you products that you're not really that are problematic or going to damage or even hurt her own name, she's facing herself in some crazy situation, okay? That she will just say that she doesn't want to work with you, okay? It means that people in this world that after got all this investment from Amazon, not only on the on this world, are now back to find themselves working some kind of their own situation. And as explained, it will be much expensive for them. They will get less money. They maybe get a chance to address themselves to the outer world, but just think that it's not going to really profitable for them. Okay, now. OG said that the disputes are mostly around status of condition and how if supporter is qualified or not. Okay, we think it's very reasonable that Amazon could get herself protected around it. Okay, it must have some kind of a way to create standards that make her protected around those things. Okay, so she will be able to enter this market if there are so many ways to lose money in those things. Now, we think that Amazon doesn't really demand a lot in this way. Who is lost a lot? If there's some kind of a reasonable dispute, you know, because there is a lacking in the quality of the item, who is to blame is Amazon, is not always the seller himself. Okay, now we think that because they invest in you and they help you, we think they gave them the right to somehow break the balance. I finish my point after a POI. Yes. CG?
The CG or okay? If a hunter sees that the dinosaur is going to bite him, will he go to hunt him?
I do not understand your question, and I think it's not irrelevant. I get a lot of things from Amazon, and I would like to go there. Okay, now for the last part and to understand. In a world there is no Amazon, there is harms to the sellers because they have now need to pay all around of the thing all of themselves. We have a word of consent, of a way that two parties agrees with something, they both know what they go in, and they both needed to make sure they have the same standards to keep. So one of this party breaks the standard. No one to go to this party before he broke the standard and with a gun to the head say you must go to Amazon. To Amazon. It's a world where Amazon demands something that is okay to demandable. He just demands that the money she spent on you will be profitable in some way and do not lose anything. She doesn't want to go to dispute around Cortes and around other problematic things that will take just too much time. We are happy to oppose.
Thank you very much, member of opposition, for the speech. And it is time for the whip speakers. And we are glad to receive our government whip, who is?
Hello, good, whatever time it is in your,
Yes, your name is?
Thank you for giving word. I will start right now.
Sir, sorry, what is your name?
Oh, sorry. My name is Alisher. The
Alisher,
second speaker of
Thank you. I
KBTU.
hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is only for tabbing.
I can't hear you for some reason.
Just debate. Have a good time. I wish you the best of luck.
Okay, thank you. So yeah,
Everyone-
I'll start. First of all, what today the closing opposition is trying to say is that Amazon is offering so much for those little companies that they have right to control us, they have right to obligate us to some distinct points. But isn't that the reason why Amazon became so monopolistic? Isn't that a reason because why Amazon became so big? It is because Amazon offering a lot of things for those little companies to go to the market, and they have rights to obligate us by charging the prices, by getting some percent from our sales and so on and so on. But we want to say that they have no right to dispute everything on their court. And that's why we're trying to propose the ban of those internal courts and everything that today, and I like that we all agreed on the fact that Amazon is the biggest company on its own market, and it is kind of monopoly. What our case, what our table was trying to say about the crossing, collective suits and about the dinosaur. So we understand if there is no other alternative rather than civil court, little companies won't go to charge the Amazon one by one. They'll try to get collective patterns of how Amazon is controlling them. That's why we're trying to make some kind of reference to the harassing points when some of the victims couldn't win a court from one harasser, but when they start seeing a pattern amongst more and more and more people, they saw that they could fight with this harasser. Rather than one that today's opening opposition clearly said that the Amazon is buying little companies by easy access for the internal court and win them there because civil court is too expensive. And it is clear, it is right. Civil court is too expensive. That's why little companies do not go there. Today, if we will ban this internal court, there will be no other platform to somehow discuss or to show the problem that the problem with Amazon exists. And that's what we were trying to say. This offerings, everything that Amazon does is only thing to control these little companies. They gain money from us. They do money from us. They gain the sales. They're controlling the charts because we also know that there is Amazon product, there is products of the third company, and we still know that Amazon will provide their own products before our products. We already suffer from its own market, but we still use it because it is the biggest and only possible market to run on international level, on some local markets as US or EU or some other countries. So there is no other alternative rather than ban this kind of courts, because this is access is actually kind of trap for those little companies. They go to charge how to say Amazon, saying that we have a dispute, we want to discuss those disputes. They will ban their product. Okay, this little company can't sell it. I'm a bit nervous, I'm sorry. Can't sell its own products on the platform. And it's just give up. It's just giving up, saying, okay, I'm fine, give me a settlement, I will still use your product. And they can't go to the civil court because because the advocates are too expensive, because civil courts are too expensive, because the company can prolong the case as long as it wants to, and there's no possibility to win. The main problem, as we say, is not internal court itself, but the access of that internal court, and that people do not use the civil court as it is. That's why we'd like to charge people, we would like encourage people to use the main alternative as a civil court and collect those patterns as how the big companies harassing little companies and making money out of themselves. And that's the main point that the closing opposition couldn't see from us. So on today's debates and today's room, we all agree that there is a big problem. There is a big problem about monopoly of a company. We all agreed on that. But opposition, both oppositions doesn't want to do anything. They said, okay, the company will bankrupt it. Okay, you have no access to any other resources. Okay, you will still use our product. They want everything to keep the same to the company. And we understand, but there is two people from this house that want to be agreed. If we ban this internal court, Amazon won't lose anything from it. It will be still top-notch platform. It still will be monopoly because it offers a lot of good options to use, and it will not suffer. But little companies do suffer. And what we propose is a better case when the both companies and both actors of a conflict actually in a win-win position. Yeah, the question from CO.
If Amazon was such a bad company for all the business, no one would use Amazon. We see that people use Amazon. We see people sell through Amazon, and no one yet to complain in such a way that you think that it changed the future tomorrow.
Okay, sure. About the complaining, as I said, Amazon is still top-notch. It still offers a lot for little companies that they cannot do by their own selves, and that's why they still use it. They don't use local markets. They don't use anything else. They don't use other international markets because Amazon, offers a lot. But Amazon thinks, but because they offer a lot, they have to control those little companies, which is not exactly right to do. We're not saying that Amazon is because it is monopoly, it is bad. We're saying that the internal court leaving no other alternatives for smaller companies. The problem is not within the Amazon. The problem is within the ease access of this internal court. That's why we're proposing to ban this internal court. Thank you very much.
I thank our government whip very much for the speech. And to finish this debate for all of us, who is our opposition whip?
Ido.
Ido. Okay, I wrote down your name. And opposition whip, you are welcome to begin whenever you feel like it.
Thank you. 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to talk about two clashes in this debate. First of all, way between the power of Amazon in comparison to the benefits for the sellers. And my second clash, is it legitimate to enforce a different set of rules than like the country's law? Before that, one point of rebuttal. So CG basically want to cancel the internal court in order for people to perform to do class actions against Amazon, and in that way to limit them from becoming even a bigger monopoly than today. So first of all, we think this is not a true understanding of the monopoly of Amazon. The fact that there's a giant gazillion-dollar corporation doesn't stop you from selling independently selling shirts or selling bags or selling a USB disk in your own local city or around the world if you are a very small business. Amazon doesn't compete against you. But moreover than that, even if we move to the independent country courts, Amazon, you already got an explanation why Amazon still has the most situations to win against you, because they can hire a battery of the best lawyers in the country. But you know how you can limit the monopoly if you want to do that? You can base yourself on the rules and the laws to limiting monopolies in the US and in Europe. US is the biggest capitalist country in the world, and we saw like examples of how, for example, Google was limited from becoming a monopoly, or Microsoft was limited in some regards with their internet browser already in Europe a long time ago. So you have different ways for that, and we think that it's more beneficial for sellers to deal with Amazon inside their own internal code. To my first area of clash. So comparison between the Amazon's power against benefit for the sellers. Now, what we say in this debate is basically that Amazon is a giant platform that maybe takes over like big chunks of the market, but it's also allowing you to sell products as an independent small to medium seller like you couldn't ever do before. It allows sellers from China and from Europe to directly connect and contact their customers in the US without going through an import and a rebranding of a different company that will handle the selling in this country and it doesn't require them to like go overseas. They can handle all of that for them. It gives you protection against the law in regards to like the general law in the countries. For example, if it tells you in advance like what you are not allowed to do, and thus saves you from dealing with the country law instead of going through that process. It allows you to easily understand and build an infrastructure for independent sellers to send and ship their products overseas through UPS and through other stuff. Otherwise, it would require a lot of infrastructure work for these businesses. It gives you a giant user base that you would never have to have the power to develop, because you'll either be stuck in your a small city in Europe, for example, or you will just have to develop it. Even if you're in the USA, you will just have to develop this infrastructure, and you will never get to the sizes of Amazon. We agree that Amazon is a monopoly, but we don't agree about the fact that it's this monopoly is coming at the expense of these small sellers. It makes local family businesses who got shipments from different companies and sold them, and had small retail stores to get closed. It makes some big companies close their doors, but it doesn't close like a small store that builds its specific brand, that creates its own bags, or creates its own devices. And in fact, for those companies, it only allows them to grow. Let's take, for example, a very similar company like YouTube. So in the case of YouTube, basically, you don't, they are very strict about the rules of how you can upload videos. They require you to not, the rules for fair use are much more strict than the rules in the USA. But we think that it's mostly okay, because it allows you to become an independent creator who makes a living by publishing videos. Previously, you had to go through the different publications to do that. You had to go through some publications that will publish your videos, or you couldn't do that at all. They made this type of career of selling products, of publishing videos, something that is viable to do overseas for anyone. And we think that Amazon similarly is making the possibility of selling products all around the world something viable that couldn't be happening before. Before I continue to my second area of clash, POI from OG.
So CEO told you that Amazon do a lot of things so they can protect themselves. First, they are already protected in the civil courts. Second, small companies already paid for this because they pay a percent.
Small companies, okay. So we think that you offer the platform in order to sell these products, and we think that as long as you're offering a service, you can enforce the service by yourself. As long as it doesn't I get to that in my second clash. So is it legitimate to apply a different set of rules? So the clash here is that even if there's, we get from governments, even if there's more benefit than harm, it's still not legitimate because they're a monopoly and they're enforcing their own rules. What we say here is that Amazon is the monopoly in the retail because, but they do it by assembly of 1 million small products and by establishing that as a store. As a small store, like we explained, you never even competed with them. When you sell in Amazon, you get some agreement. You get to sell products that you never could before, and in return, Amazon has to guarantee quality. more than the law requires. Why? Because when you sell a product, you don't notice the small label that says the name of your brand. You think you're buying the product from Amazon. You think you're buying the product from this website. We know how people perceive, for example, AliExpress or eBay as non-reliable websites. And when you buy a product and it's counterfeit or it's broken or it doesn't work as intended, people perceive that as Amazon is not reliable. So Amazon has to expect quality from their sellers, and because of that, because they provide you a service where you can access millions of customers very easily, they have the benefit of asking you for higher demands than the local law. So we think that you already got an explanation for the point of OG about why you can't win in the court. Like Amazon has an incentive to allow you to win in the court and to sell products. And we think that in general, it's legitimate for them to require higher standards. Because of these reasons, please oppose.
Thank you all very much. I ask you to cross the aisle and not shake hands because of